Welcome back to Why Write. In this video, I will review some of the basic elements within your entry-level college writing course, which is English Composition 1. So let's get started. Your objectives, within this video, we're going to look at how to employ writing processes such as planning, composing, organizing, and revising. We're going to look at how to develop ideas with appropriate support and attribution, following standard style guidelines and documented sources, which is basically MLA, writing a style appropriate to audience and purpose, look at how reading, reflecting, and responding critically to a variety of texts, it increases your comprehension and also helps as you prepare to find sources and include sources within your paper. Also, using edited American English and academic essays. Now, these objectives are general for most English composition writing courses, but keep in mind they do vary per college and university, right? So these are some of the general objectives to expect within your entry-level college writing courses. So first off, we're going to look at the pre-writing. When you're within English composition courses, especially your 1301, you're going to look at some of the foundational elements, which is the brainstorming, the outlining, clustering, or questioning. And with the pre-writing method, you could use one or a variety of these as you begin the writing process. It is important to keep in mind that the writing process helps to develop your writing, and also it helps as you begin to try to enhance your writing style as well. So going through a process of pre-writing, which is basically just you brainstorming your ideas in whichever way that you see fit, preparing to write the document. So within your composition course, it's in the word composing, right? You're constantly going to be preparing, writing some sort of essay or a research paper. It just depends on the rhetorical mode that your professor or the college or university requires of you at the time. Either way, whatever your college, university, or your professor requires, there is a standard format for composing for the essay. You're going to have an introduction, and within that introduction, you'll have your thesis statement, and you'll have body paragraphs, somewhere between 3 to 4, and definitely a concluding paragraph. So this format of composing, it helps to get you started. So if your professor or college or university, they require more, this will be the foundation to jumpstart your essay writing. Okay, next. If I can find the button to go to the next slide, we could make it. All right, so the writing guidelines. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, MLA would be the standard for your entry-level writing courses. This is typically throughout most colleges and universities. However, remember to check with your professor and with the college and university's writing format and their style and guidelines. So for the purpose of MLA, you will include your name, your professor's name, the course, and the course number, the date, and you're going to double space throughout, and you're also going to utilize Times New Roman. And if you notice, your name, your professor's name, all of that is at the top left corner. Also, you will include your last name and page number. This is considered a header. Now, within your Microsoft Word, this is already defaulted. MLA is defaulted. However, I suggest going back and checking to make sure that it's still 12 point Times New Roman font, and that it is double spaced throughout. Also, your title, which would be here, I make sure that your title is centered. It is still 12 point Times New Roman font, and the title should not be bolded, underlined, or italicized. Within your introduction, as I mentioned earlier, your thesis statement is always or usually the last sentence within the introduction. And you will remain consistent with the double space, the Times New Roman, throughout your paper. Now, as you continue writing your paper, depending on the rhetorical mode, typically you will include some source information. Some entry-level composition courses, they just require you to write a narrative. And then others, if you do write the narrative, you will continue maybe to write other essays that require you to include source information. And when you're utilizing source information, basically you retrieving outside information. If it's not something that originated from your brain, you will include it within the body of your paper, which is considered in-text citation or attributions. And in-text citations basically gives credit to the author, and it introduces the source briefly by giving the author's last name and page number that the source was taken from. Whether it's a direct quote or whether it's a summary, you have to still, or paraphrase, you must still make sure that you are citing within the text, not just with the works cited page, because some students think that, well, if I list everything that I use, it's okay. You still have to make a reference to the author and the source information that you use and page number. Nowadays, and I hate using that word, I would say currently, students use more websites, and they use more of the databases to include their sources within their paper. So you won't always find a page number, which is fine, but make sure that you are including the author's last name. If you're taking something verbatim, make sure that you include those quotation marks as well. And so once you have included the author's information within the text, and remember, this is just brief, the in-text citation is just a brief reference of the author or the source, you will then copy the entire information over on the works cited page, which if you look at the boxes and brackets, it tells you to include the author's last name, first name, the title of their work, and so on and so forth. So the works cited page is the completed document with the information from that author. This way, your readers, if they need to go back and reference, they can find this information. All right, so next, we talked about the objective of read, reflect, and respond. Usually within composition courses, students are asked to complete journal entries about their reaction to a short story, a poem, or any other literary piece. And if you are including a journal entry, you will also include some quotations. But with your journal entry, you don't necessarily have to include the in-text citation. You would want to make some sort of annotation so that you remember where you pull that quote from. But the formality of the in-text citation is not required until you're writing the essay. You will be asked sometimes to participate in class discussions about an article, whether this is face-to-face or online. You'll be asked to share your perspective, and also if you have additional questions, you'll be encouraged to ask those questions as well. You'll also be asked to analyze research papers and identify strengths and weaknesses, and then opportunities for improvement. Within your English composition course as well, you will be asked to look at and identify grammatical and mechanical errors. If you're not sure about the formal name of these things, that's okay. Your professor will go over this with you and also point out these errors within your paper so that you are familiar with. Once you know what your weaknesses are within your paper, you will then know how to go back and correct them. So the grammar, you're going to focus on the structure of the sentences and the proper relationships between words. This is the biggest piece within the English composition 1301 course. You're going to be looking at the subject-verb agreement. So everything that you learned in grade school, your English composition 1 course is a refresher to help you look at how to properly use pronouns, to help you look at and identify when you have fused sentences together and if it is fused correctly, right? Look at the mechanics, basically referring to the visual aspects of your writing, like your spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. Looking at any missing punctuation, improper apostrophes, or omitted commas. So during the writing process, this is when you will be able to learn and identify how to correct these errors. Also, as you continue to look at how to construct and compose your paper in the proper format, your professor may give you some links so that you can look at sample MLA papers, which I just showed you the sample MLA setup, and that's from Al Purdue, which shows you the sample, has the boxes that explains the in-text citation, works cited page, and so on and so forth. And there are other links to help you as well as you prepare for your format. Now, that has been the complete overview of your English Composition 1 course. And more information can be found in the textbook Why Write, an anthology for English composition. This is a book for reference for English Composition 1 and English Composition 2. So what we went over today is just the basics of what to expect within your English Composition 1 course. And the details will then come from your individual professor or your college or university's requirements for that course. Thank you for joining me here at Why Write. And if you have any questions about this video, don't hesitate to leave me a comment.